What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Lumsden Motorsports Garage. I'm Wade Lumsden, and it's time to finally start sleeving some of the front end together here. We're going to get this all fixed up and hopefully be ready to go race. So let's get to work. Alright guys, so we're going to start sleeving this stuff together. Going to do an internal sleeve. I kind of need to tell you about my best laid plans going to poo. So this is 1.5 inch 0.65 wall tubing over here. So my original plan was to take 1.5 inch 120 wall and have it the outside shaved down to where I could shove it in there and sleeve it, and basically that makes 120 wall pipe where it's sleeved. But I'm not 100% sure what went wrong. The gentleman I gave some pipe to chucked it up and started lathing it down, and it got way too thin. By the time he was done, it was only 30 thousandths thick, which, you know, we double checked the thickness of the pipe. It was 120 wall pipe, and we shaved off 0.65 of it, which means there should be 55 thousandths left, right? Like mathematically, that's how that works. But that didn't quite work out in real life. So decided to go a different route, kind of last minute deal. I was hoping to use some DOM and use that for inside here, but instead what I ended up doing is I went and got myself some 1 inch black wall Schedule 40 pipe. So the difference between this and tubing, for those of you out there that don't know, when I say 1.5 inch tubing, they're talking about 1.5 inches around the outside diameter. So it's 1.5 inches from here to here. When we're talking about pipe and I say 1 inch or 1.25 inches or 1.5 inches, it's talking about inside diameter. So, you know, from inside here to over here, right? The width of this, but on the inside of the pipe. What we ended up doing is I found some 1 inch Schedule 40 black pipe. So that means it's 1 inch diameter on the inside, but it's got such a thick wall thickness that the outside here is just narrower than the inside wall thickness here. I think the inside wall thickness here was 1.363. This comes out to like a whopping 40 thousandths. That's 0.040 narrower on the outside here. So kind of another roundabout way to do it, which if we do a quick test fit here, this is the section that broke off. Still hasn't been cleaned up yet, but the section that broke off. But as you can see, it slides in there. It wiggles around a little bit. It's not quite as tight of a fit as I would absolutely love, but it goes in there and it's enough to make this thing work. So now what I'm going to do is get the ends all cleaned up, and we'll go over the actual sleeving portion of it. I just wanted to kind of show you what we were doing. It's always nice to have a backup plan just in case your primary plan doesn't work. Sometimes I think I just need to start with plan B because usually plan A goes awry. So, oh well. All right, so now I got my pipe. So what we got to do is get cleaned up and get everything over here on the pipe cleaned up and ready to go back together. So you'll see right here I drilled a hole. So what that hole is for, I believe they're called rosebud welds, but you shove the pipe, when you shove the pipe in, get the pipe shoved in there, and then you'll see how it went past the hole here. So what we'll be able to do is actually weld right here, that'll connect this outer pipe to the inner sleeve pipe. I think in all actuality, if you look it up, you really only need 2, I believe, one on one side and one on the opposite side. I believe I'm gonna do something like 4 on each side. On this particular one, I'm probably gonna do 5. Got my 1/2-inch hole here. There's one on the opposite side. You can see I've just started drilling these out. So this is my little pilot hole here. So I got one here, and then there's one on the opposite side over here. But because this was actually a section that was cracked out before, and we got the gusset underneath it, I'm gonna end up drilling one a little bit back here, probably right around here, and putting one in there as well, just to make sure that that piece that was cracked before is still really well connected to this piece that we're inserting. But on the other end of that, we're gonna go back and we're gonna end up wire wheeling or flapper wheeling, I'm not sure which, all of the paint and powder coat off of all the areas that need to be welded. That includes like the whole length of that pipe that's going in there. And I'm only going to wire wheel and clean up these end pieces here as well. I think we decided not to actually sleeve this because this is the portion that was actually notched that went up against the front here where it was cut out up here. Partially doing that for placement. I don't want to get too buck wild with just setting it down in there and maybe it'd be off. My fear is that if I'm, you know, 1/8 of an inch off in one direction or the other, because this is attached to my shock mount, you know, if I pull it back a little bit, it may move the body of my shock closer to the control arm, and I did not have much clearance right there to start with. So my fear is that if I don't try to place this right back where it was and use the old welds and where the pipes are sitting and stuff as a guide, that I might end up being slightly off, and it might, you know, interfere with my shock clearance. And when I'm talking about shock clearance, let's talking about shock clearance with the control arm, right? Because the mount was here and then runs down to there. And if I accidentally bring this back just a little bit, it brings it closer to the upper control arm. Things I'm trying to avoid. So doing that. So gonna get this cleaned up, probably give you a quick overview before it actually gets welded together. But that's gonna be the base of it, right? We got our piece of pipe that fits inside here. We're gonna put some holes in it for our rosebud welds. And of course, when you do this, you don't want to put your rosebud weld like right here towards the end of the crack. You want to give it some meat to grab a hold of. Do I believe that this big long piece of pipe is a little bit of overkill? The answer to that is yes, but a little bit stronger, you know, the better. I guess that doesn't hurt anything. I do believe there's an actual like calculation to calculate out the size and length of the piece of pipe that you need to use for an internal sleeve. I believe that there's also a length for, or a diameter for the minimum diameter on your rosebud welds and the placement of those rosebud welds, and all that happy stuff. And I do know that when you're actually butting something up like this, you know, right here to right here, the angle, let me flip over here, the angle that this should actually be cut at, because usually if you have the opportunity to do a nice clean cut, that should be like 60 degrees, or rather, if I were to create an angle here, 30 degrees between the pipe and my finger, for the portions of the outer piece of pipe that are getting butted back together. So yes, there are specifications out there online. I 100% believe on how to do this 100% correctly, but we're not putting together an airplane here. We're putting together a dirt track race car. So our goal is just to patch it, make sure that it's going to be strong enough to hold for doing what we need to do, because we're not using this like on what do we say? We're not building space shuttles. I like it to drive like a rocket ship, but we're not building space shuttles here. So kind of taking some shortcuts, but in the end, this is actually a pretty good fix in the way that we're doing it, you know. So gonna get all that cleaned up, gonna start getting it prepped. Kind of showed you where I was, but once I'm to the point where we're gonna start installing it and welding it together, we'll do another quick overview. All right, got some stuff cut up, cleaned up here. Down here where that crossbar was, that's all cleaned up now. I'm gonna end up putting a plate there to attach that to. I got my black pipe here. We cleaned it up. Just wire wheel on a drill, and got as much paint off of it as I could. I then I also marked this up a little bit here. You can see there's a marking here, and then there's a marking on this end. That is the bare minimum of how deep it's got to go in the crack on either side here, to make sure that we have enough pipe on both sides of the outer sleeve portion. So you'll see that I drilled my 1/2-inch holes here. Took a flapper wheel and cleaned up around there so we can get some good clean welds on it when we go to weld that up. I also took the flapper wheel and cleaned up around the outside here, around all the spots. Actually, I missed that one there, so I'll do that real quick. But all around here, that way those are clean to be ready to be welded. And actually around the crack area, we're going to end up doing something else once this is actually set in place. I did cut a piece of plate, little piece of plate. Like I said, I'm going to end up putting a piece of plate here to make up for what I cut out when I slice that. That way I got a nice good spot to attach that to. And yeah, my brother's been working nights, so he's gonna come into town early though to stop by and help me get some stuff welded up and put together, and hopefully this goes by relatively quick. Yeah, we're gonna find out. There might be a couple little tricks and things that we got to do to get the pipe slid in and slid on. Since we're not cutting these off, it might make it a little bit difficult. Heck, we might come back and have to cut these off and re-add it. But like I said, I'm trying not to move that, just so I have a reference as to where the pipe, the upper portion, was supposed to be, right? So the less stuff I cut out, the more it just goes back to the way it was. So but my brother should be here shortly, and we're gonna get to work trying to get this thing slapped together. All right, in the interest of trying to get this thing in here, we slid this piece of pipe on this side because this one's the one that's got the goobers, but the pipe slides in and out of there. It's just a little tough to do. And then we slid this one in all the way in over here. So the goal is to line this up. Say hi, Tiss.
How's it going?
He looks super happy to be here early, or late. Late for me, early for him.
Yeah, it's time to go to work.
Yeah, so we're gonna do that and try to get all of this slid together and see if we can get the pipes pulled back out and slid into place where we need them. So. I'm going to let him continue working over there. That's the plate for this little cut piece that we did. That's what he's doing. But you might have been wondering what we were doing. We were taking a punch. This fit a little snug in here again because this was welded up before, so it was a little dirty, a little tight on the inside, but it still slid in and out. But we ended up having to take a punch once this was all lined up, taking a punch and help it tap its way over until we were past here. So that's what we ended up doing over here. Over on that side, it moved a whole lot easier sliding around in here. So I actually ended up using a file, the little sharp little teeth on it, kind of grab a hold really well. And actually, I might be able to show you here. One-handed, I don't know. Yeah, see how it moves? Pretty easy. That's one-handed with just the file. So the little teeth grab onto that pipe. I would like to say I was the brilliant one that came up with that, but definitely am not. My brother was like, quit being stupid, do it this way. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. I'm not afraid to admit it.
No.
Right?
That's what you got me here for, is
to think for me?
Yeah, to think for you.
He's here to think for me.
You went to school, so I have to do the thinking.
Ah, that's what it is. But as you can see, the benefit of kind of doing it the way we were doing, now the old welds that were and pipe and stuff that was broke off, really it was kind of the welds that broke. But now the front pieces of pipe are holding right where they were supposed to be, right? And we're gonna be able to connect these and weld them together. So we should be good. But now I'm fairly confident that within, 1/16 of an inch, my suspension mounting points for my shocks and stuff are all going back where they started. So good news there. All right, back to work. So what's going on now is my brother's in there, Tiss. I keep saying that because he hasn't been in videos past, so I feel like I have to continue to introduce him until he is stuck and become a permanent part of the channel. But it is Lumsden Motorsports, and that is my brother, Chris Lumsden. I call him Tiss. Long story behind his name, but anyways, Tiss is in there laying some rosebud welds in those spots. I'm just going to get kind of a look at what he's doing, kind of show you what's going on here.
They kind of look like a rosebud.
Yeah, they kind of.
Why they're called rosebud welds?
Really?
Yeah, because they look like a
rosebud.
Little rosebud.
Huh. If you do them right.
Yeah, if you do them right.
If you do them like me, they look like bird poop. So can we call them bird poop?
call them dropping welds.
Dropping welds. Ah, yes. Yes, we'll call them dropping welds when I do them. And you know, I can't say much. I actually over the years I picked up how to weld a little bit here, a little bit there, but I am nowhere near what I would call a welder, because I have not laid down that much wire. And when I have somebody with the talent like my brother or Kyle, who you guys probably remember from the tough truck build and from coming over here and patching up this car, mostly while my brother was out on the road and stuff, coming over and helping. You know, if I have access, or if those guys like that are willing to come help me, I definitely want to take their help and take them up on their offer, because they do a much better job. And things like this, I would much rather know that it's going to be good versus guessing with my welds, right? So, but so doing the rosebud welds right now. We may still come back. We haven't welded around the pipe yet, the crack where it actually cracked out around the pipe yet. We're still just doing the rosebuds, because we're gonna get a closer look at it, but we may actually take a grinder and kind of run it in between the crack there all the way around. It'll huh?
I was just able to weld all the way through that just now. So.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
we're good. Okay, so the material's thin enough that we don't really do that. I guess if when we have a little bit thicker material, what you'd want to do is run a grinder through that. Give yourself like 1/8 of an inch gap, you know, and then you actually weld to the pipe down below, and you flow it out to the edges of the two pieces that are being butted together, and that creates a nice good weld all the way around. Nice solid connection. Yeah, so that's what we're doing. If you can't tell, I'm standing out here, man, and I gotta face this way. I keep trying to look at the light. Ooh, pretty. Yeah, I am terrible. Don't look at the welding light. Please don't look at the welding light. But I am god awful about that. Hence why I kicked myself outside. So we're gonna keep going forward with this. I know my brother's got to actually get going to work here shortly, unfortunately, which means we're probably not going to be completely done welding this together. So that makes completing the project probably for tomorrow. But for right now, I will let you go. Give you one last look at what he's doing in here, and you might wonder what the heck the piece of tin was for. He was welding right here. There's fuel line right there. We were just trying to block that disaster from happening.
Move that
so
to here before I start welding right next to the power steering lines. So.
Yeah, let's not put a hole in the power steering lines either.
I wasn't worried about the outside, but I'm welding on the inside now. So.
Okay, awesome. But get you a better look here. You can see. Hey, by the way, that's warm.
That might be hot. I just welded it.
A good thing I touched it way out here. I wasn't really dumb and just like. But yeah, you can see it kind of looks like a little rosebud right there. So, all right, guys, we're gonna keep working here. Tomorrow is Thursday, so tonight is Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thursday. We got to do our darndest to get done between today and tomorrow. And oh yeah, this is the other fun thing. So the truck broke down. If you remember watching those videos coming back from Lovelock, yeah. Luckily, the truck should be fixed now, but it is at my dad's house, still way out in Fallon, which is an hour away from here. But that happens to be where my brother lives, so we might be playing musical cars in a weird way. He might be bringing my truck into work tomorrow night, leaving the truck with me so I can load a race car into a trailer, and then when he gets off work in the morning, taking all of that with him. So we'll see how that plan works out or not, but we got to get the car done first. So more to do. Alrighty, it is now Thursday. I just got home from work. As you can see, the front end is actually welded in, and that is ready to go. Everything's welded. There's one little crack up front that we still got to weld shut. But other than that, everything's welded to go. So technically I could put this thing together and go race. But what I am going to try to attempt to do, because today's the do or die date to be done, I'm going to take a flapper wheel. You can see the welds are good and stuff, but there's just a little bit of raise here in the weld. And so I'm going to take a flapper wheel and buzz these down a little bit. I'm gonna try to get some black spray paint on there, make it look pretty, and then if all goes really well, I spoke about trying to add a pipe in here somewhere to stiffen it up. So right now it's kind of a race against the clock. If I can get to that, we'll do it. If not, maybe we'll do it before next race. But technically, with the way this was repaired, I should be good to go. I just want to add that little bit there to help with future fatigue, or rather help keep future fatigue from showing up again. So all right, I'm just gonna start getting stuff cleaned up, and then I gotta slap everything back together. Man, I had this radiator in, and I reached down and I wiggled it, and I was like, that never used to wiggle before. And then I realized I always had a piece of tire tube in between my mount and this to help make it nice and solid. And look how solid that is. And I haven't even tightened it. Whereas before it was like in there all wobbly and stuff. So make sure when you're putting it together, you're putting it together with all the parts and pieces. Especially if something broke, you might be missing parts and pieces. So make sure you double check that. Just came again early before work. We got our pieces of pipe in. Again, it's schedule 40 black wall pipe because I didn't have what I wanted. I originally wanted to use 1.5 inch 120 wall, but because of where I wanted to put it and where the shock mount is, that pipe was so wide that it interfered with the shock. So, and I'm trying not to touch it because it was just welded. But that's in there. Where that's at, it really should help with the forces that are being put into that pipe, basically through the shocks. So that should be good to go. It is Thursday night, like I said. I now have to give my brother my car.
Yep.
That's scary. He looks too happy about that. All right, I'm gonna send him with my car so that I can go pick up the trailer, finish up the car tonight, get the car loaded into the trailer, have it and everything else ready to go. And then when he gets off work in the morning at like 6 or 7 a.m., whenever the hell he gets off, he's gonna come and swap back out with me and take my truck and trailer to Fallon towards the races, and then I'll go to work and all that happy stuff. But we got to play musical cars, but I have to finish getting everything loaded tonight to be able to do that. So we're gonna go ahead and say goodbye now. Not just like that. Don't forget to right, peace, we're out. No, don't forget to like and subscribe. Questions, comments, concerns, if you'd have done something better, put it down below. If you have any questions about the process that we did, I know we just kind of grazed over this, and like I said earlier, we're building race cars, not space shuttles, right?
Right.
Anyways, so like, subscribe, questions, comments, concerns below. We're gonna go race Rattlesnake Raceway in Fallon, Nevada tomorrow, which is Friday, and Saturday, and yeah, hopefully all goes well. So I got to get back to work, got to get the car done.
I gotta go to actual work.
He's got to go to actual work. And I have a feeling my neighbors are going to hate me because I'm probably going to be firing this thing up at 11 o'clock at night or something to load it in the trailer. So I better quit yakking and get to work. We'll catch you next time. Peace. It's just after midnight and we are loaded now. Still have some equipment to get loaded in there, but we're basically ready. Fingers crossed.